It is good morning. This is the Morning Constitution. I am your host, Joel Hawksley. It is a pleasure to be here at the Oxford. Uh, I'm sorry, at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society. And the highlight is this is a wonderful place. If you haven't been here yet, it's the former confines, friendly confines, in the Altamont Mall is now the Oxford. So happy to be here, and I titled this thing "Much to Do." No, it's supposed to be much to do about nothing, but I think I titled it, something to do about nothing. So it's a little different. I didn't want to take William Shakespeare's exact phrase. Well, does anybody know? Much to do about nothing is actually a play, uh, a comedy from William Shakespeare. So I wouldn't do that to you, especially today, because today is still in Women's History Month, and William Shakespeare didn't have any women uh, on his plays. So again, one of those things that yes, women were not prominent in the society, and makes these women even stronger and just incredible. So I'm just blabbering along. Don't know what I'm talking about, but something to do about nothing. So what are we doing here? What are we trying to accomplish if we don't look at our history in a way that really touches and reminds us of what has happened? So one thing we find out is hey, good, I got a cord in front of me. Hey, there we go. Yay. Yay. Okay. We're live, right? Oh, we are. Oh, yes. There we go. Okay. This is the best part about being live. This is the best part about being live. Okay, so let's say, I wish I could just start over. Something to do about nothing. So we have a lot of stuff happening right now, and we have to get so much done, but sometimes it just doesn't seem like what we're talking about is really worth all the all we put into it, because at the end of the day it just doesn't seem like there's any result that we've gotten. So I started talking about women's history, and I want to start talking about history all the time. But the thing is, I love to have a guest on the show, because it's better to have that conversation with somebody. And I'm just in my head all the time. I'm trying to think of the best thing to say about the best people to say. But there's so many wonderful women that people don't know about, women that they do know about and have forgotten. But I just don't want to sit there and say there's nothing to talk about. Elizabeth Dole is a great story. She she has a wonderful story. Sandra Day O'Connor, she has a wonderful story. And you have Condoleezza Rice, absolutely beautiful story. So they're not even they're not even history yet. They're not truly history yet. I mean, yes, Sandra Day O'Connor, you could probably say, yeah, well, she made history because she was the very first woman on the Supreme Court, nominated by a Republican. Just wanted to remind everybody of that. Now look at it now. There's at least three women on the court, and that's because she started. She. The funny thing is, most people don't realize that Sandra Day O'Connor was a senator before she was nominated to the Supreme Court. Sandra Day O'Connor was a very fascinating woman, and we go through her history, we'd have a lot to unpack. Elizabeth Dole. So Elizabeth Dole is a lot about her. She's from North Carolina, and Elizabeth Dole, she prominent Republican, married to Bob Dole, who absolutely is a how do you put it? There's a lot of history with him, and it's really wonderful when you know Bob Dole, because he's an incredible person. He has always been very caring, and Elizabeth Dole is exactly the same way. She has a heart so big for so many people. Now, we can say, here's the negatives, right? So we're against all these regulations because we're Republicans. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Every time you see the brakes get hit on a car and you see the light in the back window, yes, you can say, okay, well, we put something in place for safety, but it's there. It's still there. And Elizabeth Dole was a transportation secretary when that was put in. So she also became a senator from North Carolina. She was going to run for president of the United States. George W. Bush was running at the time. And she ended up saying, well, I'm tapping exactly the same fundraising people that President Bush is. He wasn't president at the time. And it just wasn't going to happen. So she steps back, then goes and becomes a senator from North Carolina because she wanted to serve. And serve she did. Now, another one I was speaking about is Condoleezza Rice. Now, Condoleezza is an amazing person. Look, I would have to bring her up. I would have to bring her up on my cell phone because Condoleezza has so much history. It's not even. It's unbelievable. But Condoleezza Rice. Okay. So, wow, there's a lot about her. So Condoleezza Rice is an American diplomat and political scientist who is the current director of the Hoover Institute at Stanford University. This woman is a classic pianist. This woman is highly educated. She is highly versed in her education. So let's talk about her education. She was so she got her BA and her, I'll try to do most of this from memory. She got her BA and her PhD from, I believe, Denver. So yeah, University of Denver. She was a Democrat. She became a Republican because she saw what she felt was a party that really cared about the people. It really cared about our foreign policy, and she wanted to be very invested in foreign policy. And the only reason I say, I have a lot of hesitation. This is probably my worst subject because there's so many women and there's so much to talk about. And Condi amazes me because her story alone, her book is phenomenal. Her parents absolutely tried to make it in Alabama, the segregated South. So when you talk about blacks and Republicans and all this stuff, she gets very defensive because she doesn't feel she doesn't feel like she's that she doesn't feel like she's being held back. She doesn't think that, that way. She thinks positively. Everything she says positively. And it makes a big difference. So I just named 3 women. I talked about them very briefly. But all 3 of those women that came to my mind were strong Republicans. And people will say, well, if you look at Sandra Day O'Connor and you really pick apart the things that she did and she said, and you're going to find out that, yeah, she basically, yeah, she allowed abortion. She was not, any abortion stuff was going to come along. She was not, she was not pro-life. So do we hold that against an individual in our party? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Now, Rudy Giuliani, here's a good story. So Rudy Giuliani and all those people that thought, oh, he's absolutely wonderful. He did a great job. He did. He did a great job in New York. And then he did a great job trying to help our society. But right now, there's a lot of controversy around him because of this Donald Trump. This Donald Trump stuff. It's like we have a whole lot of negative and a whole lot of positive on this one individual. And yet, all these hard right people have Rudy Giuliani. Have they forgotten that he is not pro-life? Well, that's enough said. I don't know if Condoleezza Rice, if she would ever, she would make a great president. She would make a great, Supreme Court justice. She would make a great anything because she puts it all on the line. So one of the things, one of her dreams, and I'm going to say this, and I hope someday she gets it, she would like to be the NFL. She would like to be in charge of the NFL. So if they ever have a chance and they want somebody who knows football, Condi Rice is the one that wants that job. So I'm going to wrap it up now. 3 very prominent Republican women. So thank you very much.